Patrick Cook here. So welcome to session number 5 of Fun with Mandelbulb3D Mutations. Hey, so far I've been talking about using the MutaGen to fast track your discovery process, all right, to test formula construct changes to see what happens, okay, and to kind of circumvent the laborious process of discovering your Mandelbulb creations by manually adjusting your formula construct, okay? And so I kind of think of the MutaGen in 3 different ways, okay? 3 different use cases. One is to increase your productivity by circumventing manually modifying formulas, to increase your creativity, all right, by allowing the application to kind of go off and explore and test various formula construct changes to see whether or not there's another graphic in there that you probably would not have discovered manually. So in just those 2 ways, the MutaGen can be quite useful, all right, to get you to a great graphic that quicker than you might otherwise have been able to do by manually adjusting things. All right. Now, there's another use case which is pretty cool, and I'm going to explore it in much greater depth as a little later on in this tutorial series. And the reason I'm going to hold off on a deep dive into this next use case is because you really need to understand the MutaGen tool, all right, and how to use it, how to optimize. But I'm going to let you in on a little explanation of it early on. The other use case for the MutaGen, which I don't know if it's my own discovery or not, but I have used it with great success. You can actually use the MutaGen to help you construct animation keyframes as you build an animation, all right? And the reason for that is because the MutaGen will take, all right, the incoming formula construct, the one that comes in from your main editor. It will take that and mutate it, and mutate that, and mutate that, okay? An animation does not have to be just moving your camera, all right? An animation in the Mandelbulb can actually also be the changing of the formula properties. And you know, you go up online, you go up on YouTube, and you'll see an animation of the Mandelbulb graphic where you've got the graphic itself is modifying, it's changing. And you'll have some animations where you've got the graphic the graphic properties is changing and the camera is moving at the same time. Okay, it gets some pretty cool stuff. Now, because the MutaGen is modifying the formula construct, all right, of its previous mutation. That is, that this mutation is modifying the formula construct of the previous one, all right? Because the MutaGen is modifying the formula construct, it's not modifying the camera position. And the MutaGen does not modify the coloring or the lighting or the quality settings, that is the DE stop. Okay? It only modifies the formula construct only. All right. The formula, add, remove formulas, change the parameter values of formulas, the Julia mode, the iteration count. The key to understanding the mutagen is that it's not modifying the camera, not modifying the lighting, not modifying the quality. It's only modifying the formula construct, the formula attributes, the formula properties, that sort of thing. All right. So you can imagine that if I ask it to mutate, all right, an incoming incoming graphic from the main editor, and it mutates that, well, that could be a keyframe. All right, why not? That could be a keyframe. All right, let's see if we can do this. Okay, so I'm gonna clear this, and I am going to, we're going to keep it nice and simple. I am going to close the Mandelbulb application. I'm going to restart it because all I care about is I want a very basic graphic here. All right, so what I want to do here is demonstrate how we can use MutaGen to create keyframes. All right. So I'm just going to take my basic Mandelbulb graphic here. Let's get the animator up here. Now let's go to MutaGen. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable all of these formula construct modifiers. All right, except for this one. What I want is for the MutaGen here to very slightly modify these parameters of the formula construct, which is up here, which is just only integer power. All right. I don't want it to modify a Julia mode, which doesn't apply to this graphic anyway. I don't want it to modify the iteration count, because you only need one iteration count to get this graphic right here. Okay. All right. And I don't want it to be adding and removing formulas right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mutate this graphic. Okay. All right. So what I'm looking for is I want a keyframe that is kind of slightly removed. I'm going to increase this a bit more. Mutate. Oh, here we go. That might be interesting. Okay. All right, so I'm going to send this to the main, calculate it so you can see it. All right, and I'm going to send that into, okay, there we go. Back to MutaGen. Now I'm going to send this one to main. All right, I'm going to calculate it so you can see it. I don't have to calculate it. I'm going to push that into my animator. Okay, now you see here that I have a slight modification of the graphic. All right, and if we look at this second mutation, which is this one right here, and if we look at the formula, we can see here that it modified the Z multiplier ever so slightly. Now, if all goes well, I should get a pretty cool basic animation that will morph between this first keyframe, which was our base, and the mutated keyframe, which was mutant number 2. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's get up here better where we can see it. Get this down here. All right. So you can see here by this demonstration that I have used the MutaGen. Get it up here where we can see it better. I've used the MutaGen to create a keyframe that was slightly removed from the original. Let's just get this slowed down here. So this is my original. This is my base. And then it morphed into another. Okay. So this is a very basic demonstration of a third use case for the MutaGen tool, where I have used the MutaGen to mutate only the property formulas, to mutate from one mutation to the other. All right? All right. Let's see if we can. Well, I could mutate up to mutation 2.2, but it's pretty much the same. I could mutate here. So hey, let's try this. I'm going to send this the next mutation. Now keep in mind, this is a mutation of the formula construct of the one before it. So let's get this up to main. Oh, yeah. All right, I got to exit the preview. Let's get this up to main, calculate it so you can see it. Get over to a new one. Let's insert that. Now let's render 3 keyframes. All right, this would be keyframe coming up on keyframe 2. Here's keyframe 3. Look at that. That's nice. Now, that is 3 keyframes, that 2 of which I have used the MutaGen to mutate from one keyframe to the other. And you'll note here that when I brought those keyframes in to the animator, I did not modify any of the formula properties. So the third use case of the MutaGen tool is to help you create keyframes that will effectively morph from one keyframe to the next, or one mutation to the next. All right, and that is a pretty sophisticated use of the MutaGen. And if you know how to use the MutaGen, you can leverage this to make some pretty cool animations without you manually having to create each of these graphics. Okay? All right. We're over time on this session, but I think it was worth it. This is the third use case, to use MutaGen to create keyframes for an animation. I'll see you in the next session, and we'll continue our discussion of this, what I think is a very good tool called MutaGen. I'll see you there.